Hello and welcome to another episode of the Everyday Leaders series. We are here today with an amazing women in orthopedics in Africa. We have Dr. Fortunate Matinata Mudede Mofat with us. Dr. Fortunate is a senior specialist registrar in trauma and orthopedics. She has a Bachelor of Medicine, a Bachelor of Surgery from University of Malawi, and Master of Surgery in Orthopedics and Trauma from University of Edinburgh. She also did her AO Pediatric Fellowship at BioCure Malawi. Dr. Fortunate is the current chair of Women in Surgery Africa under the umbrella of CASEXA. She also has held leadership roles such as president of Zimbabwe's Association of Surgeons in Training and president of orthopedic trainees in Zimbabwe. She has been recognized as the only second female orthopedic surgeon in Zimbabwe and was part of a leadership that spearheaded the 2019 Women in Surgery Zimbabwe chapter. Dr. Fortunate, it's so good to have you here. Welcome. Good to see you. How you feeling? How you doing?
Hello, everyone. I'm doing well.
Good to have you here. So where you are currently, where?
I'm currently in Scotland.
Okay, how is the weather out there?
It's been warm for the past couple of days, and we appreciate it because it's usually crazy cold out here. And yeah, that's usually the reality. But yeah, I've loved it the past couple of days.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. So we're just gonna dive right into it, and we have a tradition here where the first question always is, what does the phrase everyday leader mean to you? So what does it mean to you?
Okay, so when we talk about everyday leadership, to me, it's a lifestyle. Leadership is a lifestyle. It's something that I was drawn to when I wasn't even aware. I mean, in our African setup, as soon as you finish specializing, you're sort of drawn into leadership. You're expected to lead at every stage of your career. That in itself showed me that everyday leadership is, well, just generally leadership is a lifestyle. So it's not about titles, it's not about standing on big stages, authority, but just leading in your day-to-day roles precisely. It's about consistency, showing up, supporting others. In my case, I've had to support from medical students, fellow registrars, SHOs within the various roles I've been involved in my career. So it's about just showing up and supporting as much as you can.
Yeah, I that is beautifully put. It really is a day-to-day practice. It's a habit, like you said, and yes, and it's funny how you pointed out, in Africa especially, once you reach a certain level, you're just pushed into the position, kind of. So it is that's very right, and you kind of have to discover and yourself and your leadership style and everything, while you're in the midst of
Yeah.
it. Yeah. So the segment for this interview, the title for this interview is Beyond the Scalpel. Can you talk about your journey to becoming a surgeon and how your work has extended beyond the operating room?
Um, I was inspired to become a surgeon when I was in my medical training. When I refer to the term surgeon, I'm going to, for me it means orthopedic surgeon. I've
Mm.
never, to be honest, I've never been attracted to any other specialty within surgery or within medicine as a whole.
Wow.
At times I actually tell a lot of people that I think I was just born for this thing because that's the only thing I was drawn to.
Mm.
When I was in Malawi, I was, I used to see a lot of trauma patients with long hospital stays, and that used to affect me quite a lot because these were young patients within their years of expected economic activity. And I would always wonder, these are probably young mothers, young fathers, what's happening to their families when they're here. And there
Mm.
were quite a lot of patients loitering around in circular external fixators, loitering. Some of them were on traction for quite a number of months. And I just wanted to be a part of the solution. Then, when I went back home for my internship, I was blessed enough to meet my mentor, Mr. Akim Mageza. He was quite instrumental in my decision to do orthopedics because then there was no female in training in orthopedics. And he told me how he had classmates from Malawi who were females. And in our setting, people thought you had to be muscular, you had to be big to be an orthopedic surgeon, you
Mm.
had to go to the gym. It's like, no, I'll show you pictures of my colleagues. They're not big, but they're able to do this. And he connected me with quite a lot of female orthopedic surgeons, the likes of Dr. Pamela Samoyo from, she's Zimbabwean, but she's practicing in Zambia, Dr. Chiku from Malawi, Dr. Noah. And that was quite an inspiration for me. And that's how I chose to do orthopedics. And through, continued mentorship, that's how I chose to do orthopedics. For me, orthopedics is attractive because it feels like a quick solution because you operate on a patient, you rehabilitate them, they get up, they walk, they go home. We always say our patients are not patients per se, they're clients because they're just in hospital waiting for an operation without any other ailments. So for
Mm.
me, that works because I usually I feel like keeping a patient for a long time, etc. For me, that was not very impressive in the other specialties.
Mm.
And orthopedics has a lot of variety from pediatrics to geriatrics, and generally I love working with instruments, technical things. I grew up in a female dominated family and my dad was the only man. So I
Ah.
got to do a lot of things like changing bulbs, etc. So that
Mm.
that fit in quite well in my background. Besides orthopedics, outside of my career life, I'm an advocate for female surgeons, those that desire to do surgery and those that are within the surgical fraternity. My desire is to just spread the word out there that it's possible for the girl child to make it. And how am I doing it precisely? I think just a testament of my life itself is enough to show people that you can do it. And a female can become a surgeon. We come from a continent that has a surgical fraternity that's male dominated,
Mhm.
and because of that many people think females cannot be a part of it, but I must say the males in my country were very receptive of my idea of doing surgery, and they've mentored me throughout, and it is possible for a female to become a surgeon.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, that is what an amazing story and journey. And it's kind of interesting how almost everybody in orthopedics have the same attitude. Like it's more straightforward. There's a broken part of a person, you go fix it, you can see what you've done, usually intraoperatively and immediately postoperatively, and you know what you're doing. There's no guessing, there's no nothing, there's no waiting game, like you said, and
Yeah.
the patient is on their way. And also, it has been my experience where I used to think of the same thing. Our patients are young and they usually don't have any comorbid conditions, right? In Africa, because
Yeah.
trauma population, the population affected by trauma is the young working population. And I'm used to walking to a ward where I see a lot of young people from age range between 15, 16 to maybe early 40s, right? That's the age range I'm used to. And then when I went to England and we went to the trauma ward, it was, I only saw one 16-year-old kid
Yeah.
with tennis elbow. So I was like, wait, what? So has that been your experience in Glasgow? Is it, do you see a lot of young trauma patients, unlike, or like Africa, the Zimbabwean setup, or is it different?
So with regards to trauma, I do see a lot of young patients because, well, I just recently completed a fellowship in limb reconstruction. And mainly in limb reconstruction, you want to sort out the young ones so that they can maintain their limbs. If it's older patients, you can't, hook them up to a circular fixator for like 3 years of their lives, etc. But I must say that the turnover time from when the patient comes in, when they are operated on, and when they leave the hospital for younger patients, it's much quicker than in Africa. So you won't see them staying on the ward for a long time. They sort of get back to their lives much quicker than back in Africa. There are
Mm,
quite a lot of geriatric patients. Like every day, there would be a list with neck of femur fractures being done.
yeah.
Quite a lot. Back home, I would say, yeah, they're there, but then maybe most of them don't make it to the hospital. Or
Hmm.
if they do come to the hospital, due to waiting time, etc., they usually die before they are attended to.
Hmm.
At times, we get to, we have some success stories, I must say.
Yeah, that's quite a different experience from what I have experienced. And like you said, maybe it's because of the specific area that
Such sessions.
you're working on, which is recon. Um, that is great. So, you've told us a little bit about what you do beyond the operating room, which is trying to empower women and demonstrating through just sharing your life experience that it can be done. Even if it's a male dominated profession, you can still be successful in it. So your advocacy work extends into beyond Zimbabwe and beyond your operating room, and because you're a chair of Women in Surgery Africa under the umbrella of CASEXA. So what inspired you to take on this advocacy centered leadership role, and could you tell us about WISA, Women in Surgery Africa, what it has done and what it's doing currently?
Okay. So what inspired me to take up this role was mainly that as soon as I chose to do surgery and I started doing orthopedics, people started coming up to me asking all sorts of questions. Cause back where I'm from, it sounded like a myth to have a woman doing orthopedics. I'm the second ever female orthopedic surgeon in my country. We are currently three of us. I'm proud to say every year from this year, we are going to be graduating at least one other female surgeon from the work that we have been doing in Zimbabwe, advocating for females to join orthopedics. And I think I was just drawn naturally to this advocacy work. When people kept coming with their questions, I felt I had a story to share, but at times I felt like the platform was not big enough for me. So I started getting involved in Women in Surgery Zimbabwean chapter, which is also a part of WISA COSEXA.
Mhm.
We started hosting some events to inspire medical students. With my colleague Precious, she started a mentorship group on WhatsApp with medical students that want to do surgery, etc. And then when I was about to do my final year OSCE exams in Namibia in 2022, I was asked if I'm interested in taking up a leadership position. I was like, that
Wow.
sounded so big. But I'm grateful to the people that, like my support structure. Um, there are people that told me that if there's someone who can do this, then it's definitely you. I mean, you've been doing it all these years, but maybe you were not aware that you were doing it. And
Mm.
I took it up. obviously I had my own imposter syndrome things going on, etc. But I had a lot of support from, I was vice chair then. I had a lot of support from Dr. Mumba. She was chairperson then, and until I worked into the role of becoming chair in WISA. And I love this leadership position because it helps me speak out to the African child
Mm,
that, look, you can do anything that you put your mind to. And with regards to WISA and what we are all about, it's about providing a platform for the female surgeon to be mentored into the kind of surgeon that they want to become.
mm,
I believe that there is no use going through or experiencing things that someone else experienced and they managed to conquer them without the skills that they used.
mhm,
So, sharing those skills of how to overcome obstacles as a female surgeon and how to go through life as a female surgeon.
mhm,
That's what WISA is all about, providing networking opportunities, um, financing opportunities. I've had 2 travel grants from WISA to attend the WISA event before I even got into leadership.
mm,
Research opportunities, So that's what WISA is all about, just providing a platform for the African girl child to excel,
mm,
whilst increasing the surgical workforce in Africa. And what I've set myself to achieve within this role is precisely carrying on the dream that our founders had
mhm,
and the dream that the past committees have had, which
mm,
is to continue with the mentorship, to continue looking for opportunities and providing opportunities for the female surgeons, and to just continue telling the girl child that you can. I'm proud
mm.
to say that the COSEXA numbers as of last year at the Zimbabwean conference, the president highlighted that the numbers are quite pleasing. They're on an upward trend, and we look forward to keep going higher and higher. So, I mean, I feel like that's my role, to just keep the ball rolling.
Yeah, wow, that is impressive. And you know, for those of us who are already involved in Kazakhstan, we have, we have the idea of what WISA does. We have met people like you, who is also actually, you have a huge mentoring experience, like you said, even back home when you started off, and still, you're part of the female orthopedic empowerment program, as well as a mentor, as a volunteer mentor. And I think a lot of times what discourage people from mentoring is the fact that it's a future based gain. It's not immediately. You don't get paid, you don't get reimbursed for your time. It's a volunteer position. You don't necessarily get recognition for it, but it's what you put in every single women that you talk to, a career women that you talk to, and how if you affect their career path. So I think it's a very novel thing to do, and you've been involved with it very early on in your career. So thank you for that. Um, so you kind of have touched on what you want to do with your position in your current position in WISA. So can you go in depth as to what goals you've set for yourself to achieve through this fantastic community of women surgeons in Africa? For yourself, I mean.
For myself, my goal is to see the female surgical workforce significantly increase by the time I leave office. Um, and I think we are positively on track. I'm looking forward to that. Obviously, the examinations are the ones that would determine everything, but with the support that various trainees are being given and the training environment that's in most of the COSEXA hospitals, I feel like that's going to be achieved. Um, in terms of the other main thing that I want to achieve is to ensure that everyone within WISA feels like each member of WISA, regardless of how big they are in terms of their career and so forth, will be able to realize that each person is approachable.
Mm,
So this is going to be highlighted in our December WISA event this year, not to preempt anything, but this is something that, at times you feel like I'm small.
Mm,
How am I going to speak to Dr. Fulao per se? She was president of COSEXA, etc. But from my experience with most of these phenomenal women in surgery, they're quite approachable. They are quite helpful. They are quite kind. But unless you go for it, then you don't know it.
yeah.
So my plan is, whilst we increase the workforce, let's just show each other that we are all approachable. We are all there to help each other. We are all there to support each other.
Yeah. Very, very important. Very important. That is really what empowerment means, right? It's just um, helping somebody just get rid of the self doubt. If you can just help one person feel like, you know what, you can do this, and you're not faking it, and you know, what's the worst that can happen? The worst that can happen
Right.
is you not trying. That's actually the worst thing that can happen. Because if you try, it could go great for you. And like you said, you might end up building amazing relationships that will help you down the line. In your career. So you're right. When you look at their positions of these powerful women, you might feel a bit overwhelmed. But I remember the first conversation I had with the president, the ex-president of Kazakhstan, was by a swimming pool in at Skylight Hotel last year when the Kazakhstan meeting was in Addis Ababa, right? And it was so casual. She had her foot up, shoes off, with her daughter next to her. It was very informal, but you can see the grace and the humbleness that she exudes, and that just creates a lot of comfort. And I learned a
Yes.
lot just because of that simple interaction. So yeah, we just have to break out of our shells and just go approach, talk to people, and connect. And nowadays you don't have to meet somebody in person. You can link up on any of the social media platforms. Literally, virtually everybody is accessible
Yes.
right now. So yeah, I think it would be great. So how does WISA use social media platforms to um, expand its message and expand its reach? And how can women, young career surgeons be involved?
So we currently have a WhatsApp group that all female surgeons have been added to in different countries. Our membership extends even to the US, the UK, etc. So within that group, there are people of different subspecialties, different walks of within different walks of life that you can easily access. We are currently working on a website that will be up and rolling very soon, which will be linked to our LinkedIn page. And that's going to, there's actually an existing website sort of, but we are upgrading it. And that's going to be linked to our LinkedIn page with more information about WISA, more information about the activities that we are doing throughout the year. And we also have a Twitter page. And for us, mainly, the WhatsApp group has been so instrumental. I think most people can attest to that, that within various organizations, that's the easiest platform to communicate. So yeah, pretty much that's as far as our reach is in terms of social media.
Yeah. Yeah, I think there's just no limit to how you can use any of those platforms.
Yeah.
I remember a couple of weeks back we had this gender leadership training, and most of the Zoom and Google Meets and other platforms you have to pay in order to have long meetings. And we were thinking, right, because most mentorship programs are underfunded, to be honest, and usually, like we said, it's volunteer based anyway. So we were thinking and we were thinking, and then we did it over WhatsApp, and we used it the whole day, which
Wow.
is, yeah, so maybe you can use that.
Yeah, definitely.
It was very instrumental, and everybody was pleased, we were surprised, and it worked. So there's a lot to discover when it comes to the current available resources. So, what collaborations does WISA have with other gender equity centered surgical associations? Because there are so many of them, and to be honest, I would say not enough, even if it looks or seems like there's so many of them. And are there any exciting projects in the making, or any exciting projects that have already been done that you would want to, talk about?
Okay, I'll start with the last part of the question. That gets me so excited. We are celebrating our 10th year anniversary this year in Burundi. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to seeing a lot of females, to the celebration itself. It's a milestone. WISA has come from far, and we're really grateful for the support we've had. And for me, that's the most exciting upcoming project.
Wow.
Wow. In terms of partnerships and our collaborations, we are an affiliate group of COSEXA. So COSEXA is our biggest partner. It supports us through everything, and we are quite grateful for it. We are also grateful for the Royal Colleges in the United Kingdom that have, given us access to scholarships, fellowships, travel grants. I'm testament to that. I've benefited a lot from that. The Association of Women Surgeons is coming up with a mentorship program that will be rolled out soon within Women in Surgery. And it's a different style of mentorship, a different style of training mentors, and I'm looking forward to that. We also have we have collaborations with American College of Surgeons, which rolls out scholarships every year to female surgeons, and they've done quite a lot for people, to enable people to even attend their exams,
Yeah.
and to stay within COSEXA, paying up their memberships, and we're grateful for that. We also have other organizations such as KidsOa, Smile Train, Second Chance, that have also been rolling out scholarships to our members. We have collaborations with J&J, which has been responsible for the research grant that was rolled out in Ethiopia. In Addis Ababa, there were 5 research grant recipients, and in Zimbabwe, there were 7 more research grant recipients. And this sponsorship has a great impact on WISA because it's expanding our research, our access to research publications. And these publications will be, the WISA name will keep going, going big with it. So I'm really grateful for these collaborations that we have. AIS helps us with networking, and Operation Smile is one of our major sponsors for usually the December event, and they usually help us knit everything together. They're like our behind the scenes people, and we're quite grateful for their contribution to WISA. If there are any that I didn't mention, forgive me, please, but we are grateful for all the collaborations that we have. We have partners throughout the world, and that gives WISA quite a global presence that we really appreciate.
Yeah, really, WISA is really the face of Africa in a sense, with how you just described it. And I can imagine how hard it could be to collaborate with so many organizations, and obviously the good thing is they all align with the same goal, which is encouraging and increasing the women workforce in surgery in Africa. But at the same time, there are different ways that different organizations work. They have different interests and areas of support and things like that. So how big is your WISA team?
Right now, we're still coming up with the numbers. So we've rolled out a survey to the country chapters to just reestablish exactly how many we are, but we are quite a lot of us in the countries. I would not want to, per se stick to a certain number, because that will be a false representation. But I think something will be up on our website once it's up and running. We have membership in quite a lot of countries in the world, I must say. Yeah.
Yeah, from what I've seen so far, and you're an example. You're a great example for this. Is when you're a female surgeon in Africa and you're thrown into leadership positions, whether you like it or not, in your own way, not necessarily in a recognized leadership role, but informal leadership roles all the time. Uh, Most of the female surgeons have spoken to when I've traveled through Africa for different courses and things like that, they're so energetic, they are proactive, they really really want to make change, they're excited to give whatever they have. And I think that's one thing you need to, WISA can leverage. And I am sure because of your growing number of women surgeons, you the association will come up with something beautiful, and obviously have done great things so far. So how I know you recently had a baby, and then you have your surgical career. You've been in training for quite a long time now, because you're training to be an orthopedic surgeon. Then you're doing your fellowships and different fellowships and things like that. So, and then you have your leadership and advocacy roles. So, how do you balance all this?
That's an interesting question because, we always ask this question at most WISA meetings. How do you balance everything? Because it seems quite impossible. And I'll respond the same way most female leaders respond to this. It's you take it every day, a day at a time, kind of thing. I think for the rest of my life, I'll be working on balancing everything out. Because it's tough, I must say it's tough, but I'm grateful for my support structures. um I must say, I don't think I'm the one that put them in place. I usually say God put these people in place for me to make my life function.
Mhm.
I'm a mother, I'm a wife. I'm grateful for the support I've had from my husband, just being encouraging me to go through school. I won't call it babysitting per se, but child minding a lot, because in the African
Mhm.
setup, it's like the mom is supposed to be on the forefront doing a lot of home things and etc. But in my situation, it's been a good partnership where he's quick to take up roles to just relieve me from the pressure. Um, and I'm grateful for my family because they've stepped in a lot when I've had to travel with training. In COSEXA, you travel a lot. They've stepped in a lot. When I went to do my exams, my daughter was quite young. They stepped in, and I wasn't worried about anything because I knew I had a support system in place.
Mhm.
So my advice to everyone out there is be in good books with everyone of all walks, in all walks of life, because you never know who's going to be instrumental in your life
Yeah.
to balance things out. Within WISA itself, I'm grateful for the committees that I've worked with. These are groups of very vibrant women that, goal-getters, forthcoming to do a lot of things. And if you delegate any duties, people, they fulfill the requirements of their roles, and that has helped me a lot. The teamwork within WISA, the teamwork within all the organizations that I've worked with has been very instrumental in balancing things out. But I must say, some days are exhausting. It's not all roses. It's not all roses. Some days are really exhausting.
Mm.
Um, but I take time out to
Mm.
reflect on the good things and what I would have achieved, and that has helped me.
Mm.
Recently, I decided to take a bit of some time out from. I felt like I wasn't achieving a lot at home, like in terms of admin, work, etc. I just took
Mhm.
time off, traveled on my own, just sat
Nice.
down, did my admin, and I'm grateful for such opportunities. I do understand that some people don't have the chance, they don't have the opportunities, but for those that have them, it's important to take them up. So for me, that's the balance within my life. But I think I'll keep working at it probably until I die.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's a work in progress. Everybody's a work in progress, like
Yeah.
sometimes you look at people and you're like, oh my god, they're well put together, they figured everything out. And but when you talk to them, they're like, I don't feel that way. They're like everybody else, like all of us trying to figure it out. So we need to give ourselves grace and, be okay with the fact that we're a work in progress. And I love how you mentioned about, what we call micro retirements, because those are very, very, very important. In a lot of other professions, micro retirements have been a thing. People take a break from their career, and sometimes even a year long, 2 years long, and sometimes even longer, right? Well, because their profession has a privilege. I know not all profession and careers are the same, and as a woman there's a lot of pressure on us, and especially in a male dominated field, it's kind of seen as a taboo to even consider taking a break.
Yeah,
Somebody, you think, not you think, but you also hear people say, "Oh, see, that's why women should not be in
exactly.
or in surgery." And we're guilted by it, just wanting to take a break. So it's very important, and I myself have learned from you that my breaks are very important, and you're right, that's how you keep yourself sane. Is there any, I don't know, any point, experience, or circumstance that made you stop and think, I need to work on the balance of things. I'm overwhelmed, or I'm consumed by everything. Has there been any point that forced you to reflect on that?
For me, my pregnancy journey was that point.
Mm.
I, I do call it a weakness at times, taking up a lot of tasks, because once I'm in a room and people are like, "There's this," my hand will be up. It will be the first one to be up. So I take up quite a lot of things, and I had traveled to Malawi for my pediatric orthopedics fellowship, and I discovered I was with child, and I was in a foreign land, but not very foreign because I'd done my undergraduate there. So I had friends, I had, fellow countrymates that were taking care of me. I have a Zimbabwean family that took care of me in my undergraduate years, and their family up to now, and at that point I was doing my Edinburgh Master of Surgery. I had a lot of assignments that had deadlines. I was supposed to start thinking of my research topic, and my
Mm.
research background was not that great because I think I wasn't very serious in my undergrad with my research
Mhm.
module. So I had to sort of like relearn everything. And then I had this fellowship where I had to learn a lot of elective pediatric orthopedics. And I didn't know much because in Zimbabwe, our pediatric orthopedics was mainly trauma based. So I had a
Mm.
lot of new things to study, etc.
Mm.
And then now I had my first trimester and I was alone.
Wow.
AO was paying for me to stay in a hotel. And when in your first trimester you want some certain types of foods that are familiar with you from back home, like traditional things and stuff. So it was hard, it was really hard. And I remember my mentor from Malawi, Dr. Nicholas Lubega. He was amazing. He was such a support structure.
Mm.
And that's the point where, he's like, what, sit down, just see what you can and what you cannot do. Even if you want to put this fellowship on hold, just sit down and reflect. So I was like, what? I'm not the kind of person that does not finish whatever they start. I was like, if there's something I'm going to finish, it's this fellowship, and I'll carry that as a testimony to everyone. So I had to put my Master of Surgery with University of Edinburgh on hold. I
Mm.
had to put other research projects that I was working on hold. Um, so at that point, I was only mainly concentrating on the fellowship and on my COSEXA work. It was during COVID. My family couldn't travel and be with me, but I had my Malawian family. I had my friends supporting me. Within the hospital structure, I always make it a point to get along with everyone. So, the nurses in theater were my mothers, they were giving me traditional foods, etc., and all that. But I had to sit back and cut down on a lot of things. And I did explain to people that, you know what, at times I can do it, but now I cannot because I was also medically unfit to do all that. So it helped me quite a lot because eventually I managed to achieve everything at the end of the day. Yeah.
Yeah, wow. Thank you for sharing that very personal experience. I can put myself in your shoes during that time and see what you're going through because um we've all been there. As a woman, as a female surgeon, you always had to have balanced, having a child and then being a surgeon at the same time. And sometimes people may not understand, who are not in the health profession, may not understand that when you're a surgeon, you're not just a surgeon, you're also an academic, you're a teacher. You also do other clinical works besides surgery. You do research, and then you have to do stuff that advances your career, like fellowships and diplomas and certificates, and the list goes on. It's medicine is the one field, as you progress, there is still more to do.
Exactly. You never stop learning.
It's like, wait, what? It's
Yeah.
supposed to stop at some point, but you're like, nope, there's one more other thing to do. So
Yeah.
thank you for sharing that, and I hope a lot of people would learn about it. And I don't know if you've seen a post by IODA, which is International Orthopedic Diversity Alliance. They were talking about uh, reproductive health for, for female orthopedic surgeons, which is very important, and it's not discussed enough. But this is the kind of thing that you're talking about, like we have to delay having bearing kids because,
Yeah.
well, there's no time to do everything. And then when you do have kids, when you get pregnant and you don't know that you're pregnant, and then you're exposed to radiation, and
Exactly.
just so many things. I've had a junior colleague who was doing intramedullary nailing, and it's not, it's sign nail, though you don't use image intensifier.
Yeah.
And she was on call, so past midnight she was, going at it. And then I think it was the next day she had her baby.
Oh,
Yeah, I mean, thank God she was term and everything. She didn't have any complications, but all that pressure, obviously. And,
yeah.
you know, sometimes as women, we have to get rid of that toxic environment, especially as senior surgeons, because I sometimes get the sense that people sacrifice a lot of things, like you just said. And then when the juniors are struggling, sometimes there's a sense of, well, I've done what I had to do to get to where I am, so should you. Like, why should you get a break, kind of thing, which is kind of very heartbreaking to
Right.
see, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what do you advise, senior surgeons, female surgeons? How do we support the younger surgeons going through this sort of thing?
My advice is that, we are all going through different walks of life. Give each other grace, be it a female senior surgeon or a male senior surgeon. There are parts of every other junior doctor's story that you don't know about, that they're not willing to share. And just be that person that's going to show just a ray of sunshine to them. I've also had my own nasty experiences, and I remember the one thing I kept saying was to just have grace, like just have grace for like just everyone you meet within your career, because we are going through the most. Like, we are learning, we are adults, we have families, and it's just a lot. Just be
It
graceful,
is. That is very true. That is absolutely true. So, you've been blessed to be able to travel, and you've had experiences in different healthcare systems. So how has those experiences affected your leadership approach, and has it any influence on the advocacy work that you've done?
What I noticed that's mainly different in our structures or leadership structures within our health systems is the hierarchy of power. I think in our African setup, it's quite evident. A consultant is Miss Mudede Moffat.
Mm-hmm.
Um, a CEO is CEO something something. In other structures, it's engineer so and so, it's advocate so and so. When I came to this health system, one thing I appreciated the most, which was hard to get used to, is that they sort of tried to bridge that gap, that whole feeling of my consultant is above me, so I cannot suggest this, my voice will not be heard. So within the NHS structure, I noticed people call each other by name. It was so difficult for me until even I completed my first fellowship. I told my consultant, I'm going to call you Mr. Jamal. I cannot, like, I was never raised, I was never raised to do that. But to him, it's like, no, my name is Bilal, you should call me
Mm-hmm.
Bilal. And most consultants were so comfortable, even when registrars were calling them by name, even with the nurses, they were comfortable calling the matrons by name, etc. And it was such a relaxed and good environment to work in, because it made me feel like no matter how young you are, no matter how, in terms of education, whether you're a registrar, you're an SHO, your voice can still be heard because the seniors were approachable. We have created in our African structure a system where there is an HOD, the head of department, and at times they feel very unapproachable. So we go through a lot of problems down the ladder that we cannot highlight up there because we have this certain fear within us. So that's one thing that I'm going to take home with me, and um, it's been very instrumental in even for my advocacy and so forth. I think it resonates well with what I said earlier, that I just want everyone to feel like they can be heard regardless of who they are. They can speak to big, phenomenal people. Uh, People are kind enough to receive whatever it is that they are talking about. So that has been the driving force towards that. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, that's such a great observation. Feeling like your voice has value, your input has value, is the most important thing for a human being. Like, no, not just in the context that we're discussing surgery, but like in any context, right? Even even with your kids, just recognizing what they want, not just forcing whatever you want because you're the parent, right? It's the same thing. It starts from that stage of our lives, even when we're children. And it's I don't want to divert the topic, but most psychology and psychiatric books, if you go through them, it's the same thing. It's all the same thing. It's, I was not understood when I was younger. That has been the basis for so many
Yeah.
psychological trauma in so many people's lives. So it's basic to a human being. And I think in the African context, we really need to recognize that and uh, value everybody's input, because just because you're not a surgeon or just because you're not the head nurse, it doesn't mean you don't have valuable input. And being a good leader is enabling the people around you and strengthening their strengths,
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
creating something new, but discovering what their strengths are and supporting that so that it can flourish. So that's very, very important, and I really do hope you get to do that when you come back home. um, so with all this experience, what would be your advice for young women who have been where we all have been, and sometimes we do go there, with the self-doubt and the fear and everything, and they feel like they aren't in a position of power but wants to become a leader and an everyday leader. So what should they do? What would you advise them? What should they work on? How should they approach this?
I would advise people to just, go back to the definition of an everyday leader. It's not about roles, it's not about titles. Opportunities present themselves every day. in our day-to-day experiences, take up even the role that's considered to be the smallest role. It's instrumental in strengthening your leadership quality. If you're privileged enough to have some leadership courses in WISA, we have some programs with the University of Washington being sponsored by Operation Smile. Um, that's an opportunity to go through a leadership course, but that's big. To begin with, just remember your voice is important and it needs to be heard. And just speak out, take up even the smallest of roles, and just be willing to do things, because it starts by willingness to do things, that you actually take things up and you develop your leadership skills. Yeah.
Yeah. It's it's like phobia, right? When you have some sort of phobia, it's repeated exposure that gets rid of the phobia. So if you're scared of something, that's the more reason why you need to actually do that thing, right?
Yeah.
So like you said, being proactive is very important for young people, because uh, there is something you learn from success, but there's a whole lot more you would learn from failure. So I we young people need to rush to fail, because the sooner you start failing, the sooner you get to learn important lessons. So I love your advice. Be proactive, put yourself out there and just go do it is very important. um yeah, so unfortunately we are coming to the end of this beautiful conversation. And what message do you have for young African women about the importance of using their voice and their skill to create an impact, not just in their professional field, but in their immediate community and then beyond?
um my last message to them is that there is someone out there that's waiting for your voice in order for them to advance their dream. So speak out. You can do anything that you put your mind to. Speak out. Doesn't matter how many people hear you, even if it's one person, that's good enough. You're going to create, it's just like a tree starts off from just a seed, just one seed, and then grows into something big, branches, fruits, etc. So speak out, even in your communities, in within your hospital, no matter how small the community is, just speak out. There's someone who's waiting for
Mm,
your voice in order for them to start acting on their dream. I always say to my mentees that you are the manual or you are the book that someone else is reading. You
right.
never know when you carry yourself around how many people you're impacting. There are people that have come up to me and told me stories that I'm not even aware of. They're like, you positively impacted my life. I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, I don't even know this person. And they're like, I've just been following your story. So just stand up and speak out. And that's as much as you need, honestly.
Yeah, you'll never know who's going to be gaining from hearing you speak up.
Yeah.
That's very, very important. Thank you so much. But before you leave, before I let you go, I want you to leave one question for the next guest. We don't know who the next guest is, right? So, but they're gonna be, a great leader like you. So, what question would you leave to the next person? What would you want to learn from them, or what would you be curious to know about them, or anything?
I think I'm curious to know within the work environment that we are in as female surgeons, what they have done to create a better work environment for females.
Mm,
Um, why am I saying mainly in their work environments? Because we might never really have time to speak to every individual about what they're going through. We might not have time to learn from each other in terms of the structures that they've put through, but that might be instrumental to many COSEXA centers in
mm,
terms of developing structures in training.
mm,
Some have, like in my department, we were quite a few females. The male colleagues were still learning how to go about, treating female residents, etc. So that's what I want the world to know for now, at least just the
Hmm.
African hospitals, what structures have been put in place, and yeah, something along those lines.
Yeah,
Just making the workplace environment better for female surgeons.
yeah. Yes, for sure. And it would be a great question whether it's a woman or a man, because,
Yeah.
your gender really does not matter when it comes to having a positive impact on your surrounding. And as humans, that are what we are here for, really. Our purpose on earth is not just exist, is to exist positively in everybody that we're connected with and we have touched. So thank you so much. I love the question. I'm so excited who is going to be the next guest to answer your question. So you have to stay tuned to listen to their answer next week. And
Okay.
thank you so
On
much. Yeah, go ahead.
You're,
Sorry.
you're welcome. On behalf of Women in Surgery Africa, I appreciate the opportunity that you gave us today to just have this chat to highlight what Visa is all about and to show the world what we are doing. We don't take it for granted. And we pray that our voice has been heard and that more people will join Visa. We welcome anyone and everyone. And I want to wish all the female surgeons in training and those who desire to join surgery all the best in their journey, and we are here to support you all the way. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Fortunate. It has been a pleasure. Take care and enjoy the rest of your Saturday.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Bye.